welcome to the first episode of the Top 5 Sports Podcast. My name is Matt. This is Brock. Brock, how are we doing today?
Oh, great as always. Good to be back.
That's
Rebranded.
Right. Rebranded, everything. Yes. So, a little bit of a background, looking through, just trying to get back to talking sports. Went through and, there's got to be a top 5 sports show, right? Nothing. Everybody's favorite segments of all these shows are the top 5s or the top 10s at the end for, Sports Center's been doing it for years. But there's no top 5. So figured who better than me and Brock to talk about it. So every week we're gonna have a different top 5 or multiple top 5s like we have today. As we're recording this, it's Friday, September 9th, so we just got to see the Buffalo Bills absolutely dismantle the Rams last night. Josh Allen and the Bills. The Rams too looked shaky at first, but then they got their stuff together and ended up being a good game if you like offense, a really, really bad game if you are a Rams fan.
Yeah, because you look at that game, there was defense. There was a lot of turnovers, a lot of sacks. Von Miller looked like Von of old, so excited for
football. He looked like a piece of burnt toast.
Well, like always. But it's good to be back. Football's back. Feels great. Just have sports
natural.
again. Yeah, right. Sports are back. I mean, we like baseball, but I can't sit around and talk about baseball for 3 straight months.
Games.
Yeah, 3 straight months of nothingness after basketball's over. It's kind of just a bleh summer, but we're back. We're ready to go. New show. Hopefully, great top 5s. Matt, let's kick off the top 5. We're gonna start off with the offensive rookies of the year. We love our draft classes. We're big on the draft, as some of you may know. So going into the rookie, we see a lot of rookies. We like a lot of players, a lot of good players in good spots that have their time to shine now and step up. We saw a rookie last night, stepped on the field and fumbled on his first touch. So hopefully that doesn't happen for everybody, but it's rookie growing pains. But Matt, I'm gonna let you start off with your top 5. Who's your number 5?
Yeah. So like you mentioned, there's a lot of good players in good positions. Some of these guys, there may not be the cream of the crop when the draft came out, but they landed in the right spot, and that's where my number 5 comes in. My number 5 is a guy who's been just rising up fantasy draft boards like crazy. My number 5, Houston Texans running back Dameon Pierce is my number 5. He's going to be the lead back from the get-go. The backup running back on that team is Rex Burkhead. Says enough.
Yep.
He's looked like a true RB1 in the preseason. Yes, it's preseason. I know. He comes from the University of Florida, so he didn't play in the MAC or the WAC or the SWAC. He played in the SEC. Could the Texans be better than people think, or at least less bad than people think? Possibly. They got old Millsy back there, quarterback.
Mills to pay the bills.
That's right, Dr. Longneck. So I think he has a real opportunity to have a huge workload. His downside is if the team is bad, he's going to be in bad game scripts. But hopefully with that maybe comes a lot of checkdowns, more receiving numbers. But so he's definitely got the opportunity to be that true workhorse. But it's really going to depend on how bad the Texans are this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with a lot of that, and I could see that. He's going to be the workhorse. Like you said, Rex Burkhead isn't going to be nothing. But my number 5, starting at a wide receiver, highly touted pick, going to Atlanta, Drake London. I know he doesn't have the quarterbacks that a lot of these other wide receivers have going into the season, but I do like Drake London's body size, his speed, his hands. As long as he can translate his game to the NFL, I think he will be just fine in Atlanta. Marcus Mariota will be the starter, but we'll see if and when, how long, because I think Desmond Ridder really, really did show that he is capable and looks strong in the preseason. But like you said, it's a preseason, but it's still NFL talent, It's not everybody's college kids anymore, so they all can play some football. So I would like to see Drake London have a very solid year this year and kind of rise from that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. My number 4 is going to be behind Dameon Pierce, probably another one of the biggest rookie risers from draft until to camp until now, is George Pickens, wide receiver from the Steelers. He's big, he's tall, he's fast, he's physical. A lot of his issues were not necessarily off the field, but stuff in his head, which is why he dropped in the draft and then coming off of a nasty knee injury down in Georgia as well. He's going to be the number 2, number 3 receiver to start. Deontay's a true number 1 receiver, but Chase Claypool is not a fan.
No.
Not a fan. No. So we're going to keep the expletives out of this for now. But Pittsburgh's shown that it can support a true number 1 wide receiver and then have that stud second receiver behind it, even though they're known as, that smash mouth old school football team. But we'll see how the O-line holds up to see if either Kenny Pickett or Mitch Trubisky can get him the ball. But George Pickens is my number 4.
Solid pick. My number 4, another wide receiver out of Penn State, going Jahan Dotson. I think he will have a solid year in Washington. Carson Wentz, everyone's dogging Carson Wentz for not being great, but I think he's a very capable quarterback. I think he could go. He's more streaky than he is like consistent and solid quarterback. But I think if he gets 4 or 5 games, a couple 100 yards, a touchdown here and there, I think the sky's the limit for Dotson. I really liked him in the draft. I wanted the Packers to draft him, and I think he's shown that he has NFL speed, and he's just a smart kid, and I think he's going to do well. And I have him at number 4. I wouldn't be surprised if he jumps into the top 2 by, let's say, week 6.
Yeah, I think he's another guy who, he's gonna supplant Curtis Samuel, who can't stay healthy, as a number 2.
He's better than De'Ami Brown.
Yeah, absolutely. My number 3, you mentioned you wanted the Packers to pick somebody. My number 3 is a Green Bay Packers wide receiver. Not the one that people were all hyped about coming into this season. My number 3 offensive rookie of the year pick is star of the preseason, Romeo Doubs. He's got an extremely wide range of outcomes. He could be Aaron Rodgers' number 1 target, or he could be the second best rookie wide receiver on his own team. It
wouldn't be a bad thing when we look at the Packers wide receiving core.
Right.
Yeah.
But he showed amazing traits in camp, from being faster than what people thought or being faster than what he ran. His ability to adjust to the ball. Aaron Rodgers loves his back shoulder throws and his just being able to throw it up and have a guy go up and high point it. So I think Romeo Doubs has a chance to be the Packers' best receiver this season. Could it be a little bit of just too much hype from the preseason? Possibly. But I'm here for all the hype. I think the one thing is, can he find that connection with A-Rod? As Packers fans, Brock, we know that when Aaron trusts a guy, he tends to just laser focus onto that guy. So can Romeo build that trust, and then can he catch the easy passes? This preseason we saw it. He had a case of the dropsies for the easy drop or easy passes, and then caught the tough ones. So Romeo Doubs, my number 3.
Yeah, I mean, us being Packers fans, we do have a little more insight on the Packers. We focus on them. We see a lot of training camp footage. We see this, that, and the other. So that's why we say it. I mean, if you're another team, you would say the same thing about other people. So
yep.
we have that insight, and I mean, we have the GOAT at quarterback, and he'll make anybody good. And it's going to be wide receiver by committee, so I love the pick. So my number 3, you already named him. I'm going Dameon Pierce. I put him at 3 because he is he will be the number one. And with that offense, I mean, you still have Brandon Cooks, Nico Collins. They're young. That offense is young, but if they can block up front and he can make those splash plays and just be consistent and not turn over the ball, which I think he is very capable of. He's a strong back. I like him a lot. I was trying to pick him up in a few fantasy drafts, was unable to. But I do think over the course of the season, maybe not right away. I don't know what their schedule looks like, but look for him against like mediocre teams that he could have a really solid game, or he could just be a surprise and kill every team that he plays. We've seen a lot of that. So, but Houston being such a question mark, I didn't want to go higher on that.
Yeah. So this is a really weird year because we're all the way down to number 2, and neither of us has listed a quarterback so far.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird year just to think. You think for MVP, like it's a quarterback's award, offensive rookie of the year for the most part. Justin Jefferson a couple years ago had an all-time great rookie year, but it still went to Justin Herbert instead. It's a quarterback's award for the most part. So my number 2, not going quarterback, but I'm going with Drake London, a guy that you already mentioned. Excuse me. There's really not that singular like alpha receiver this year. Like there's not the Jamar Chase. There's not those Justin Jeffersons. There's some really good receivers. There's some receivers who are picked really early. But Drake London, to me, is in a great spot. He's 6'5", 210. You mentioned he's big. He's physical. Marcus Mariota or Desmond Ridder, they don't have to be perfect with their ball placements. They just kind of have to get it close because of the catch radius and his efficiency and everything that he brings to the table. The other side of things is there's really only 2 weapons in Atlanta. There's Drake London and there's Kyle Pitts. Don't talk to me about Cordero Patterson. Don't talk to me about Brian Edwards. There's Drake London. There's Kyle Pitts. They could see potentially between the 2 of them 300 total targets.
I could see that.
That's why Drake London is my number 2.
Yeah, absolutely. My number 2, going up to Seattle, going Kenneth Walker III. I think he will take over that job, let's say by week 3 or 4, and I don't think he will give it back. I like his style of running. We've seen a lot of him because being, again, Wisconsin fans, we see Michigan State a lot, and he is a monster. And for Seattle to get that with their inconsistent quarterback play, already saying it, and they haven't even played a game. Drew Lock and Geno Smith, don't trust them. DK is going to probably be frustrated and want to sit out. They're going to have running back by committee early, and I think Kenneth Walker is just going to outshine who else they got? DJ Dallas and
Rashad Penny.
Yeah, he's going to pass them.
Yep.
Let's be honest. His upside is so high, and I mean the only question mark I have is they're going to be down a lot, and they might not have to run the ball. But I do believe he has the pass catching ability out of the backfield better than the other 2, so I could see him racking up 30, 40, 50 catches and getting 3, 4, 5 touchdowns on top of his 700-800 yards and a few touchdowns as well. I'm a big fan of Kenneth Walker. I think he has a bright future, regardless of this season. Seattle just needs to figure it out.
Yeah. I mentioned that there's not really any alpha wide receiver.
Yeah. Before you give us your number 1 rookie, hit us with your honorable mentions.
Honorable mention. I have just one this week, and it's gonna take a lot of things to happen for this to happen. But if I'm a betting man, which unfortunately I'm not in a legal betting state, so I can't be, I would put down a few bucks on this guy. He's at plus 20,000 to win offensive rookie of the year. Ty Chandler, running back for the Vikings. Alexander Madison, let's say they trade him. Dalvin Cook goes down with a shin injury, or his military girlfriend, kidnaps him or something. Who knows? Ty Chandler has looked like the real deal in the preseason. I think he's the second best running back on that team. So
Interesting going
he needs some
Vikings.
things to happen to go to even get playing time. But at plus 20,000, that's
You take that odds. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
you take that little bet. Is that your only one?
That's my only honorable mention.
Before you get into your number one, I'm gonna do my honorable mentions real quick.
Hear it.
I got another wide receiver in a pass-heavy offense in Kansas City, Sky Moore.
Number 24.
Love the number. Don't like it on a wide receiver though. Sky Moore, that offense is just going to be explosive. The reason why I could not put him in my top 5, there's a lot of weapons. It's Patrick Mahomes. He will find everybody. And the quote that he put out is, it's going to be someone different every week. And he said, sorry about your fantasy team. So he's going to have, let's say, 2 big games and 3 or 4 mediocres. Won't win you Rookie of the Year, but I'm a big fan of Sky Moore. I think he can do big things over there. He might even be, he might sneak in there with kick returns and punt returns.
Yep.
He's a dynamic player, and I like his upside. Then my second honorable mention, strictly based on if or when he comes in, Kenny Pickett. Again, couldn't put him in my top 5 because he's not starting right away. And I personally think Mitchell Trubisky is going to have a decent season. I don't think it's going to be blow anybody out of the water, but I don't think he's going to lose his job right away. I think because we've talked about it before, Mike Tomlin wins with anybody. He's won with Mason Rudolph, has 70 yards passing. So
corpse of Big Ben.
Yeah, he had Ben Roethlisberger winning games at 84 years old. So that's why I think Mitch Trubisky, I think he's a solid quarterback. Let's see how much he learned up in Buffalo, getting away from the dumpster fire of Chicago. Because he looked in that preseason and the one game in Buffalo for Trubisky, he looked good. So let's see how much he grew, because coming out of where did he go? North Carolina. He's a North Carolina boy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He didn't play much there, so now that he's actually gotten reps as a number 1, let's see what he can do.
Yeah, I definitely agree with some of your picks today. So again, no alpha wide receiver. It's a quarterback's award. My number 1 is Kenny Pickett. I don't care. I do care. Concerns. Offensive line trash. How much is he actually going to play? Right? Obviously, those are 2.
Those were the reasons why I didn't put him in.
He's going to start at some point this year. He looked great in the preseason. Yes, he has small hands. Don't care. There's no real alpha wide receivers. Chase, no Jefferson. He's got weapons around him. He's got Claypool, who some people are high on, not me. He's got Deontay, who's a stud. He's got George Pickens. He's got Najee out of the backfield. He's got Pat Freiermuth. Kenny Pickett, even if he only starts 10 games, will win Offensive Rookie of the Year.
I would say it's not a bold pick, but it could be a bold pick, It all depends on Trubisky. It really does. If he comes out first 3 weeks and plays phenomenal, it might be a bad pick. But if he comes out, it looks like Sam Darnold did the first 4 weeks of last year. I mean, and then is Sam Darnold the rest of the season? Yeah, Kenny Pickett will be in there.
Sam Darnold, the rushing machine.
Yeah. My number 1, staying with the Steelers, I'm going George Pickens. He's got the dog in him, as the kids say, right? He's got a little dog in the heart. None of those cats, meow, meow. He's a dog. We got dogs. I like his catch radius. He has strong hands. Go over the top. Not afraid to go in the middle. Maybe not the fastest guy because of the knee injury anymore, but I think he has I think right now he could be the most NFL ready, and could emerge as the top two receiver on his team. And I think he could take over Deontay Johnson just over time, not right away, but I think his just body, his demeanor, he's just got to kind of tone down a little bit of off the field stuff and just not as much of a hothead. If they can contain that, I think sky's the limit for George Pickens. Love that pick.
Right. There we go. A little bit of a difference. I think the one thing that sticks out to me, and I think I can speak for both of us when I say the reason why Breece Hall isn't in our top 5 is because
It's the Jets.
It's the Jets.
It's the Jets.
Yeah. Otherwise, there's probably 4, 5, 6 other people who you could potentially throw in there. There's a ton of rookie wide receivers like we talked about this year, but I know for me personally, going into the draft, Treylon Burks was my guy, but
Malik Willis too.
Between going to Tennessee for both of them and Treylon Burks having his issues in the preseason, he's someone who I'm still a big fan of, hoping he gets it all together. But
yeah, I think he will come when push comes to shove, when the lights are on. I think he'll show up. Just get on the field. I mean, losing AJ Brown over there kind of hurts. You don't really have anybody to learn from, especially the guy who looks exactly like you. So we'll see. I like the pick. I think overall it would be a great pick for Tennessee. Same with Malik Willis. There's a few other guys that I think will surprise anybody and probably weren't on our list, and it's usually how it goes. So
all right, we are on to the Big Boy Award now.
Yep.
The MVP. Brock, we're gonna kick it off with you this time.
Okay.
Kick it off. You're number 5.
Yeah, I know you're huge on this guy. Everybody's big on this guy. Plays in a tough division, so I didn't put him any higher because of the quarterbacks he plays against and the defenses that are in that division. Justin Herbert, number 5. It's tough. He has a good offense. He has great defense. It's just, the teams he has to compete against on a week in and week out basis could have him struggling. But I do like Herbert. I think the Chargers are on the right way. I just don't know if he'll take that next step. He'll have a very solid year, but we'll see. I do like him. I think number 5. I think it's a solid place to be at number 5 for MVP especially.
Yeah, my number 5 plus 15,000 odds. So not necessarily the guy I'm picking to win the MVP, but if it's a guy
More of a dark horse.
If I'm putting my own money on it, I'm putting some money towards this guy. Justin Jefferson, wide receiver, Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, I hate the pick because he's a Viking, but he is a great receiver.
The best wide receiver in the NFL. Between being young and just being an absolute stud, if I'm picking a wide receiver over even for the next 2-3 years, I'm picking Justin Jefferson.
Better than Devontae.
Devontae's getting up there in age.
Based off skill wise, you still put him over Devontae, or are you just salty because he left the Packers?
Justin Jefferson is not as good of a route runner, but he's more athletically blessed than Devontae.
Yeah, but
Devontae's the best route runner in the league, but Justin Jefferson might do everything else as well. But Justin Jefferson, between his age, his upside, Davante Adams, he's the best receiver. He was the best receiver in the league, but going to a new quarterback, going to a new system, who knows? If Davante was with Aaron Rodgers and he had that connection still, that's the difference.
Yeah, it's the quarterback. The quarterback makes the receiver as well.
Kirk Cousins, not a great receiver, or not a great quarterback, excuse me, but he's a great quarterback when it comes to throwing the ball to Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
So Justin Jefferson, I think he's the best receiver in the league. I think he has the potential to do what Cooper Kupp did last year and improve on it. I think that if some of the quarterbacks, again, especially the quarterbacks award, there's not that quarterback who falls out, maybe it's a position player, skill player's chance this year. So again, not necessarily picking him to win it, but if I'm putting some money down, I'm definitely putting money down.
It doesn't hurt to again throw a few bucks at someone at those odds.
Yeah.
My number 4, new faces, new places. Broncos country. Let's ride. Russell Wilson. This is the best wide receiver core he's ever had. I don't care about Tyler Lockett and DK, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, Alberto, and Javonte in the backfield. This defense is like the old defenses in Seattle. I like the fit in Denver, and I could see him. But the other thing too is he always starts off hot. He's always the lead guy for MVP, and then he hits.
Always trying to cook.
Always mid-season flukes and starts 1 touchdown, 3 picks, a fumble here and there, and just starts falling down. But this year I think it's going to be a little different as long as everyone stays healthy on the Denver's offense. I think the sky's the limit for Russell Wilson. Again, playing in a tough division, so it's going to be tough. Playing some good defenses again, but he is more seasoned than Justin Herbert, so that's why I put him at 4.
My number 4 is the most swaggiest quarterback.
Aaron
Joey Burrow is my number.
I thought you were going Aaron Rodgers with.
No, he's the highest quarterback in the league. My number 4, Joe Burrow. He's coming off a trip to the Super Bowl. I think he takes another step forwards this year, coming off the ACL injury from last year, developing that further connection with T. Higgins, with Jamar Chase, with Tyler Boyd.
Hayden Hurst.
Arguably the best skill player group in the NFL when you look at receivers 1 through 3, tight end, Joe Mixon at running back. I think they also made the most / best changes in the offseason, just upgrading their offensive line. You know, it was their main weakness last year, and they made 2 or 3 additions this year. They're going to help protect him. My concerns is, offensive line takes time to gel. What if they don't gel? What if they're trying to establish more of the ground game, become more of a balanced attack? But Joe Burrow is my number 4 pick. MVP.
I'll just give you a little spoiler real quick of my list. Joey B is not on it.
Okay. All right.
Not saying he's gonna have a bad year. I just think there's.
It's only 5 deep.
Yeah. And he's not in my honorable mention. I just think that team, as good as they are, they're still very young. I feel like they're gonna be one of those teams that we made it to the Super Bowl. We're just gonna walk through everybody, and their expectations for some of these teams that they play will be low, and they'll lay an egg a few games, and they won't play their best ball that they're capable of. Not saying Joey B won't, not saying all these guys won't. Maybe their defense is a little lax, giving up some easy touchdowns, not being as sharp as they need to be because, they were the underdog. Now we're the team to beat. And then they just keep laying eggs. We see it time and time again. Teams get to the Super Bowl. Next couple of years, they kind of fizzle out. But that being said, that was my 2 cents on that. Number 3, quarterback's award, except when you have a wide receiver like Cooper Kupp and a quarterback that only throws to him every play. Half of his completions seem to be to Cooper Kupp yesterday. So, I feel like it's a safe pick at number 3. I said, after just watching yesterday's game, I was like, Cooper Kupp's going to break the reception record. If he's averaging 10 12 catches a game. He's going to come real close to that receiving record, especially with that extra game. Touchdowns should be the same. Matthew Stafford loves him. He does everything well. Route running, hands, he's a smart player, and I think he's just going to continue to grow on game one, as long as injuries don't hinder him or the quarterback play. I think he's going to shine once again in the league.
He's on pace for 2,176 yards and 221 receptions based off of his numbers from last night. So,
and based off how Stafford was throwing the ball, yeah, he's gonna do that, if not more.
Yeah, nice.
Especially if they don't want to target A-Rob more than twice a game. It's
always seems like Cooper Kupp is open.
He is. I mean, it's not a bad thing. He's always open.
All right, my number 3. It's a guy who came into the league, as the kids say, like gangbusters. The guy who people were saying after his first 2 or 3 years, oh man, is this guy a lock for the Hall of Fame already? Last couple years, hasn't gotten as much talk. I think this year is the year that he establishes himself as potentially the best quarterback in the league, proven that he can win and put up huge numbers without Tyreek Hill. My number 3 is Patrick Mahomes. The run game doesn't look like it's going to be anything special this year. Clyde Edwards-Helaire's trash. Isaiah Pacheco, trash. He went to Rutgers, people.
He's going to be their number 1.
Plays in the AFC West, so it's going to be high shootout games. Patrick Mahomes, I think, has gotten a little bit disrespected over the last few years.
For those who don't know,
in the middle of the season.
For those who don't know, Matt called his rise to stardom back in.
Tech.
Yep, and I said who, and you proved me wrong. Almost as good as my Lamar Jackson pick, but whatever.
Old news.
Hey, just got to bring up the past when we're great. Right. You make the right picks. We're great. We're the experts. Who do you think you are? I am.
We am.
Yeah. My number 2, another quarterback, per usual, but having a big game last night. Started off a little rocky. Josh Allen. I think his physicality, he can run the ball because Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, James Cook, running back by committee, isn't the greatest. So for him having to make plays in the run game himself, and he's just a big human being, hard to bring down. His running upside is there along with his cannon of an arm. Stephon Diggs, top 2 route runner in the league. He puts anybody in a blender. Look at Jalen Ramsey falling down and crying about everything. Doesn't have help. But that wide receiver, even Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis had a good game. Dawson Knox is a solid 3 tight end. So I just love the Bills. I think their defense will put them in a lot of good spots, and a lot of touchdowns will be scored by Mr. Josh Allen.
Yeah. My number 2 is the only one we've agreed on all day. Josh Allen, my number 2 pick for MVP. Gotten better every year he's been in the league. His rushing upside, he can make any throw on the field. They should easily win the division and potentially be the number 1 seed in the AFC. The emergence of Gabe Davis and Dawson Knox is all this I wrote earlier this week. Dawson Knox part, not so much. He had a rough game, but just one game. My concerns were that he lost his OC, Brian Daboll, but seemed to look.
I think Sean McDermott's a really good coach.
Yeah, Ken Dorsey's proven that former quarterback in the league and in college, that that he's a solid offensive coordinator, learned behind Daboll. So
Yep.
Josh Allen with a 4 touchdown game yesterday. He did have a couple of interceptions.
It's week one. It's
You know,
week one.
we don't get to watch that many Bills games, but I was
Well,
expecting him one of those times where he went rushing up the middle to come up limping, and he just never did. So
strong man. All right, getting to number one, but before, I have a couple honorable mentions. The quarterback. They're actually both quarterbacks. I have Mr. Derek Carr. I think he could surprise some people. I mean, bringing in Davante Adams makes you look real good.
yeah,
You don't have to make the perfect throw. He will catch it. He'll be open. Hunter Renfrow, another great route runner. Darren Waller. I think that offense is good enough to compete, but a reason why I couldn't put him in it, look at the rest of the quarterbacks on my list. Russell Wilson, Justin Herbert, same division. You mentioned Patty Mahomes, same division. They're just more seasoned. They have just better probably camaraderie with their team. Derek Carr, yeah, you can be buddy-buddy with Davante Adams all you want, but you still got to go and win games. Raiders defense, I think, is going to surprise some people. Bringing in Chandler Jones was huge, so they could be in some good spots. But I think just in the division, I don't think he's going to win that big game to get him over the hump. So that's my big reason why I couldn't put him in the top 5. Second quarterback on honorable mention, Mr. Aaron Rodgers. Everything stacked against him. Everything. Back-to-back MVP.
voter fatigue.
Voter fatigue. They don't want to see him do it again. But when he comes out and has Sammy Watkins as the number 1, Alan Lazard, if or when he plays, Randy Cobb, and all the Amari Rodgers, the rookies we have, if he can go out and put a 12 to 13 win team, and you have the same-ish numbers that you did with Davante, you deserve to win it.
34 touchdowns, 3
4
interceptions.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a winning recipe and should be taken into consideration given the fact that we do not have a true number 1, hell, almost a number 2 receiver.
Yeah.
And if he can do it again, but if he can do it again, I mean, he'll be right there. The odds are stacked against him, you know.
Absolutely.
Do you have any honorable mentions before I get into my number 1?
Yeah, so I didn't have any written down, but I have 2, I guess. One would be Aaron Rodgers. You hit on it. I couldn't put him in my top 5 just from I know that the voting.
We're realists at least.
Yeah, the voting in the NFL is different than NBA. NBA, you always hear about voter fatigue and
LeBron should win it every year. Yeah,
right,
we understand.
Right. Well, I mean,
outside of the last 3 years, sure.
Yeah, but he's won it back-to-back years. I think it's going to be like one of those. I also think the playoff failings are going to play a part in it. Like, oh, you led your team to 13 straight wins. Who cares?
Yeah.
Back-to-back years. My other honorable mention is Tom Brady. Like,
he's going to be there.
I've learned to not bet against him. Like, he just keeps on doing these miraculous things somehow.
At 105.
At 105 years old, yeah. Like it's ridiculous. And
yeah, he still has a great offense. He still has a good defense.
Yeah, his big thing is his offensive line took an ass whooping this summer between guys retiring, guys leaving for Cincinnati, guys getting hurt, their backups getting hurt. But no Gronk. We'll see about Chris Godwin. Mike Evans gonna be a beast this year.
Should be. I think another guy to watch is a guy we called out when there was a bunch of injuries there. Tyler Johnson could be big for them, and yeah, I think it'll just be it's the Bucs. They're gonna be good. They got a good overall team, and they'll be ready to go. Playing in a weaker division too, they have a few beat up games, so that Brady can rack up 6 touchdowns a game.
Hey, Tyler Johnson's not on.
He's not on the. I thought he was on the team.
No,
Where'd he go?
They cut him like a bunch of dumb idiots. He is playing with the old Millsy to pay the billsy. Young Brady, as they call him.
Yeah.
Anyways, question for you, Brock.
Yeah.
Your number one.
Yep.
Has he been mentioned in this episode?
He has.
All right. Go ahead.
It's Patrick Mahomes. Again, he's kind of being doubted because, your big play guy is gone. Tyreek Hill brought in MVS and Juju Smith-Schuster. Shit poopster. I mean. And
poopster.
I think Juju's going to have a bounce back here. I really do. MVS, I think he'll be about the same. He's still got Travis Kelce. He's electric on the field. Doesn't seem to ever get sacked. Is always escaping something. He's a magician, cannon, accurate. I just think, and named Sky Moore. I think he's another guy. There is still a lot of weapons, and Andy Reid is just a hell of a coach, and will put him in places to succeed. And I think they're just going to be top tier again. But again, tough division that they easily could not win, but still be a 12-win team.
Yeah, they. I think Mahomes was right off the bat last year, or a couple games in, he just went through that stretch where the Chiefs weren't playing well, he wasn't playing well, and then he picked it up. Prior to this, I was trying to find league leaders in interceptions, because I thought Mahomes for sure was up there because he had that real rough stretch, and he was middle of the pack. But I think that's a great pick. It is a really tough division. They could win it. They could come in third. I have fourth.
All four quarterbacks from that division in consideration for MVP.
Yeah.
That's how good I think that division will be. They will beat up everybody, and I think every team in that division could probably go 1-1 against each other.
Yeah.
I really do.
It's tough. My number one is Justin freaking Herbert.
Fields. Oh.
He will win the MVP this year. The Chargers are my pick to come out of the AFC West. I think they have the best defense. Yes, J.C. Jackson is going to miss week one, but bringing in J.C. Jackson, bringing over Khalil Mack.
That was huge.
They have Keenan Allen on offense. Mike Williams, if he can put it together for a full year. Josh Palmer looks like he is going to take another step forward as a young receiver. Austin Eckler is a quarterback's best friend. He's good at running the ball, even better at catching the ball. What I think separates
I'd throw Isaiah Spiller in there as well, because I think he is a very capable running back.
Potentially one of the better offensive lines, and especially one of the best young offensive lines in the entire NFL. Rashawn Slater was an absolute stud as a rookie at left tackle. He's just going to continue to get better. Just like I said, I think the Chargers win the division. I think Justin Herbert throws for a bajillion yards and 45 touchdowns. I think, they what happens if they lose again? What happens if they disappoint again?
It's still that they're the Chargers.
Yeah.
Well, they don't win. It's like the Giants, they're the Lions, they're the Jets. Like we said, we still don't fully trust them to win the big game.
Yeah, but he is my pick to win the MVP. They got the best jerseys in the game. They got one of the best quarterbacks in the game. They might have the best 1-2 at wide receiver in the game. That's probably not, but top 5.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert is going to be an absolute stud this year. Anybody who has him in a dynasty fantasy league, you're an absolute idiot if you trade him away. He's untradeable in my mind, no matter what the return that you could potentially get back would be. You are just not smart if you trade away Justin Herbert in a super flex dynasty league. Just really, really dumb of you to think about doing.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.